Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus, brought to you by fictional company I'm making up, Rukakor. We have 1 HP. This is madness. 6Y, VJ, EQJ8. Well, you know what they say, when you're going through heck, keep going. Crack the Sky is fine, rate of fire is bad, damage is bad, speed is okay, but not enough to get us out of, like, any conceivable jam. Just enough to get us out of, like, a lot of conceivable jams. Crack the Sky, you've been a very helpful item. Like, that's the shop? I thought for sure we were about to get a free book. But Crack the Sky legitimately has been such a nice item lately. It's a sweet boy, and it seems to, like, more often hit enemies, or at least we've had great luck with it lately. Essentially, I would love to buy Deep Pockets or Sack of Sacks here, but instead we have to buy the Spirit Heart. I don't think there is a good case on 1 HP to not immediately buy the Spirit Heart, knowing there's so many enemies that can just kill us in one hit. So, just gonna be smart. It's not an XL floor, it's just a regular old floor. So, I always get confused with God's Flesh. If we make an enemy small, we can walk on them, but they still, oh, wait, they only give contact damage if they, like, hit you when they die with something. Like, if they shoot bullets when they die, or if they explode when they die, right? So, if our damage stinks, which it kind of does right now, we might be able to maybe cheat the system a little bit. It could be better. We might be able to cheat the system a little bit by crushing enemies instead of actually walking on them, but it is a big risk. Because these enemies, especially, you know, enemies that shoot, could just shoot us when we walk over to them. Shoot us! So, they also get afraid when they get smaller, which is good for, like, getting aggro handled, but most of the time is not going to be what we're looking for. I don't know, with this kind of run, do you want to go 2 extra rooms and get Crack the Sky for the boss, or do you just want to fight the boss with your pretty poor damage? We should, I mean, any Isaac player worth their salt should be able to do either. But I don't know. Let's explore the whole floor. Maybe we'll find something that fixes this run, because it is a little broken right now. And I'm not just saying that because our last run was great, but it is kind of, it's a little janky right now. We are fully charged. We've already seen everything. Okay, I mean, if that's all we needed to do, then fine. Hopefully this will one-shot the boss. It is Duke of Flies. He did get one shot. We got a damage upgrade, and actually a 1.69 damage up is ridiculous. So we're going to take that and also take the Spirit Heart that we got and move along here. Honestly, pretty amazing as far as, like, the exact requirements we needed were filled there. Ladies. But Bursting Sack, not particularly useful here. But either way, I think we played that floor, like, as well as we could have imagined that we should have played it. 1 bomb also does amazing work for us here. I like that because the enemy got afraid, but then could do nothing about it. What about enemies that are on fire? Probably want to avoid stepping on them just out of the hole. I mean, I'd try to avoid stepping on fires to begin with. I am afraid of fire, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. Like, sometimes there'll be, like, a person that, you know, somehow they accidentally, like, light their shirt on fire in a movie or something like that, and then they just start beating on it. They go, like, you know, they smack it with their hand. Oh, he's done it. And I'm always amazed, because to me, that doesn't make any sense. If my shirt was on fire, I would be, like, stopping, dropping, and rolling immediately. Told you that bomb was going to be useful. But they would just smack it a couple of times, and sometimes it even goes out, which is incredible to me. Like, I don't think I could have that well-reasoned approach to fire. I'm not, like, when I go to sleep, I'm not like, I'm worried my house is going to burn down. I would prefer it didn't, but I'm not thinking that it's going to happen on the regular. I know there are people out there who are extremely anxious about that specific thing. That ain't me, though. But whenever I see someone, like, if someone is around me and they light a cigarette, then that's fine. But if they are, like, playing with a lighter, I'm like, stop, that's fire! That is a thing that kills people. It's like if you were playing with a gun around me. I get that they're not quite on the same level of magnitude. If you're playing with a gun around me, I'll be like, quit it. I'm not gonna shoot you. That's what everyone says before they shoot somebody or get shot themselves. Oh, that was, we whiffed, unfortunately, on that one. But we're about to get a deal with the devil regardless. I had a weird interaction. Like, I was in Japan when my final exam happened, so I had to reschedule the final exam. This isn't the story. We worked it out in advance, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna do it on this day. So that was like a week ago, and I did it, and then I finished. I was waiting outside for Kate to pick me up because I'm 10 years old, and I mean, this is a side story now, but I can drive. It's just that she also needed our car. We don't own 2 cars because we're adults who live in a city with good public transit. We have 1 car. This is one of the rare times we both needed it at the same time. I'm taking Mom's knife. Screw you, buddy. But anyway, I'm waiting out there. It's dark. It's a little... whatever. It's a little sketchy in this area. You know, Vancouver's relatively safe, but there's some pockets of it that are a little weird. The Vancouver Metro, I should say. Anyway. Long story short, I'm waiting out there. And I'm getting, I'm waiting a while. Getting a little cold. Dude comes up to me, goes, hey! And I say, hey, what's up? And he goes, do you have a lighter? And I said, no. And he said, well, you know what? That's fine, I guess. On the surface, pretty basic interaction. Not uncommon. Guy came up to me and asked if I had a lighter. And I said no, and he said all right. But he didn't say all right. He sighed and then said, well, that's fine, I guess. And I was just like, this dude is being real fleeking? This dude is being real freaking selfish right now. He's putting his drama... I hate that I got hit twice there. He's putting his drama on me. Like, I understand the feel of a chemical addiction. If I wake up in the morning and I go like more than 45 minutes without having a coffee, my brain starts to knock on my skull and it goes, hello, aren't you forgetting something? You know, and the longer it goes on, the more you risk, headaches and just a general malaise. It's not fun, but then when you get the coffee, you're like, ooh, this is good. I'm a productive citizen, Not saying that's for the best, but you don't have to put that on me. Like, if I walked up to somebody, I was like, hey, you got any caffeine pills on you? Slightly different situation. And then they said no. And then I went, oh, well, that's fine, I guess. How about you pack your own lighter if it's that urgent for you, you joker? You weren't wearing zip ties. You didn't need to burn your way out of a pair of handcuffs or something like that. Like, why are you so salty that I don't have a lighter? I don't leave my house and go, oh, some strangers might need to borrow this. Make sure to pack it. I pack what I need and nothing else, because if I pack extra, I will forget it because I am a man-child. That's why I don't like to take umbrellas out anywhere. Kate doesn't understand. She goes, it's raining. Don't you want an umbrella? And I'm like, nah, I'd rather just get wet. Because if I bring the umbrella, there's probably like, not a super high chance, but there's probably like a 15% chance I leave that umbrella somewhere. And even if I don't, there's like, there's another 5% chance I'll leave it and then notice when I'm halfway home, and then I'll go back for the umbrella. And it's going to be a whole to-do. It's going to cost me time. I'd rather just wear a hat, put my hood up or something like that. It's one of the benefits of baldness is... I wish we got to deal with the devil there, but I'll take the tears upgrade and the spirit hearts regardless. It's one of the benefits of baldness is that you can just rock the hat whenever you so desire. Anyway. Oh, careful. I am, making a mountain out of a molehill with respect to this story, but that's what the Northernlion brand is essentially taking a relatively mundane situation and then adding a little bit of like a Jerry Seinfeld-esque, Larry David-esque, I guess, spin onto it, and then making a social mountain out of a social molehill. I was still surprised, though. I was like, dude, it's not like he came over and was like, do you have a lighter? And I said, shove off. I was like, nah, I don't. Maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I was like, nah, I don't. And my tone was like, did you know that cigarettes cause cancer? Of course I'm not carrying around one of those things. No, I believe in the value of personal choice, dude. If he wants to smoke and, he knows the risks, who am I to say don't do it, I mean, probably shouldn't, but I'm not going to be like, whoa, I'm glad you asked for a human favor. But, no, instead, I mean, I thought I was being amicable, but people do tell me that, You know, I have a rude face. And I'm a genuinely happy person. I like to think I'm approachable, but not when you know, Kate does her stream, people go, why is NL mad? I'm like, I'm not mad. I'm focused on the game. I'm focused on providing you with the dankest of memes, real time, from my brain hole. But I guess when I concentrate, I kind of look like a jerk. So, I mean, I'm not going to apologize for that, because I'm not even my face. You know, my face is just a collection of bones with skin and tendons and muscles draped over them. I didn't choose this face. Would I choose this face if I were given the choice to choose this face? I mean, it's a decent face. I got no problems with this face. I guess I can't really complain. It's probably, if we had to buy our own faces, this face might be a good value buy. You know, it's not the Brad Pitt, let's be honest. Oh, we're gonna take that for certain. We're almost at spun too, but it's not the Brad Pitt, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I think we will go with Eye of Belial here. If you were buying faces at a face market, the Brad Pitt would cost you. You know, you'd be paying top dollar for the Brad Pitt. You might be able to get mine, you know, at a buy it now price that's a little bit more in your price range, and then be like, you know what, I'll save my money for the humor module or something like that. Not that I'm flattering myself. Dude, consumables, please. The run's still great, and I mean, to be honest with you, probably shouldn't have taken Eye of Belial. I have a suspicion that Eye of Belial does cause the knife to do more damage when it flies through enemies. Even if it does, it might not have been worth the HP, but it might have been a little cost prohibitive given the situation. You're a bomb beggar. Okay. Oh, balls of steel. I saw the B and thought it was bad trip, and my brain went like, well, now you've done it, but no, this is good. This is good. I don't know how it tells if the knife has gone through an enemy, but I'm assuming the synergy works because, I mean, God's flesh clearly still works. This run is dicey-ish. Like, everyone's worried. They're like, well, not everybody. Nick, are you watching this? Nick is worried. He's like, and some other people are in this camp, admittedly, but to play it up for absurdity's sake, let's pretend it's just Nick. He's worried, you know, if we have, like, genetic engineering, we're going to end up with a situation where we have, like, designer babies, you know? Undesirable traits are going to be bred out of the system because you're going to be able to genetically modify your children. So you'll be like, oh, why would I want my children to have, like, you know, this trait? And you know, this trait that is deemed undesirable. And the thing is, he's not wrong. I think just a Tears upgrade and also being able to buy a Spirit Heart is fine. There are some traits that I'm sure, like, you know, why would you keep them around? You're like, well, your child is going to have, like, a terrible disease, but if we just, like, do some gene therapy in the womb, they won't have it. That stuff's, you know, eventually, if we ever get to that point of, you know, science and technology, could happen. But you guys, you're cynical for all the wrong reasons. The real reason you should be cynical about genetic modification, or specifically gene therapy, is because of the divide it will create between people if they ever get to sell it. You know, I'm not actually cynical. I'm to a fault. I am always happy about human progress. But then, you know, you watch a little bit of Black Mirror and you go, hey, maybe though, this is actually terrifying. There's a joke about Black Mirror. It's like, the synopsis for Black Mirror is, what if technology but bad, or something like that. Anyway, what is this one? Bad guess. It's the same pill we're holding, of course. See, everyone's like, I don't want gene therapy, because then all children will look like either Brad Pitt or Selena Gomez. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Rich children will look like Brad Pitt or Selena Gomez. Children from poor families are gonna look like their parents. That's the Black Mirror pitch for that episode. And I know there's gonna be people in the comments that are going, oh, it's classist. No, you don't understand. I'm not being classist with this. I'm just saying, like, you know, if you're 23andMe, that's a joke about a company that does genome sequencing. But anyway, if you're 23andMe, you get the Brad Pitt face sequence. You're not selling that for the same price that you're selling the Clint Howard face sequence for. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry more about not everybody being superheroes, but about, like, exclusively the children of Enron executives being superheroes. See, that's what worries me about that. See, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Instead of everybody being the same and also, you know, out-competing everybody else, only the top 1% of people or so are gonna be, you know, insanely overpowered relative to the rest of the population. I don't know why you're getting yourself in a bunch over it. You know what? In the interest of playing things, people are like, I didn't come to this episode to feel NL. In the interest of making sure that we still have a chance to get a transformation, we're gonna take Bob's Rotten Head. To be honest with you, it's always a relief when I get a tangent like that off, because now I'm like, oh, at least if I've made a terrible mistake somewhere along this episode, people will feel like it was entertaining. Hopefully. Or they'll just be like, he doesn't know anything. My biology teacher says, you know what? Your biology teacher knows approximately as much about biology as me, unless you go to a fancy private school that has a, you know, a master's graduate teaching biology. That doesn't happen that often here. It's usually people with a bachelor's degree in biology and then a, you know, not a teaching certificate, but a bachelor's of education in teaching as well. Or both, I guess, but you get the idea. Actually, that's not really fair. Your biology teacher probably knows a lot more about biology than me, but at one point we both knew the same, and I'm confident that given enough time, I could get back there. Dude, a single bomb, please? I'm just throwing that out there. But you know what? I'm willing to forgive it because you've given me the keys to the kingdom here. So, it's a tough one. We're about to get Guppy's Paw. I think we should take the ability to fly and nothing else. This is a no testicular fortitude situation, I'll admit, but I think we did the right thing. The thing worth noting there is that not Strange Attractor, Dark Matter. Dark Matter is good, but I don't think it's good enough of a damage upgrade to justify how low we'd be on HP. But in another world, we might have fit perfectly there. So yeah, don't let me disrespect your biology teacher, and you better not disrespect your biology teacher, Mr. or Mrs., but statistically speaking, probably the most disrespectful students. I mean, I know you're gonna say that this is not the case at your school, maybe. There's gonna be a lot of you saying that, but at least in my high school, the girls, you know, they chatted a little bit, but the guys were the ones who were like, you know, hey, what happens if you turn the Bunsen burner up all the way? Like, I got stories from my high school. It's not like they're super absurdly out of control or anything like that. But we got stories from my high school where, like, a friend of mine he's a little silly, but we had a substitute science teacher for that day, but we were doing, like, experiments with electricity, so we had copper wire, and I forget the context of the experiment because it was overshadowed so greatly by what happened next. He just stripped off the copper wire, grabbed the insulated portion, and then shoved it into the electrical outlets that were on the laboratory benches that we had. Now, he's not dead, but it did scare the crap out of him, and it scared the crap out of everybody else, too, because when he did it, it shot sparks out of the wire, as you might expect, like it conducted electricity. Who would have thought? He's extremely lucky he didn't get hurt. Like, he wasn't holding the exposed wire, but still. You might be surprised to find out he does not work as an electrician, but no. The other part of that story that's great is that the substitute teacher did not notice at all. She was completely oblivious. People are really rude to substitute teachers, and it's, you know, don't do that. It's very sad, you know? Not because the substitute teacher necessarily has a sad life, but, you know, teachers already, in my opinion, don't get enough respect. And then to add on top of that, a substitute teacher gets, like, the least respect of all, you know? With an actual, well, see, there you go. With an actual teacher. Rude. No, but with a regular teacher, you know, a teacher that you have on the regular, you develop, oh, we can't take it, that's right. You develop a certain rapport, I suppose. So, you know, I'm going to cut up in class today, but I'm not going to cut up in class tomorrow or something like that. With a substitute teacher, no matter how cool you are, it's tough to get that rapport super quickly, you know? Maybe not impossible, but very tough. But this substitute teacher was a bad substitute teacher. She was not a good substitute teacher. She was basically a daycare provider. Which I'm not disrespecting daycare providers, but she wasn't a substitute teacher. She was like, oh, we gotta have somebody in here to watch these kids legally. They're not getting any value out of that. She wasn't a substitute teacher so much as like a substitute watcher. Alright, what do we got? Speed up telepathy for dummies, Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, Ares is actually okay, but it's not worth sticking our neck out to possibly die here. In my opinion, at least. Ooh, careful. You may disagree. You have every right to do so. I don't think we care about these bombs too much. We're unlikely to need them. I mean, let's be honest, this run is popped off now. We're actually probably in a good position to fight Hush. I mean, I was a nerd, and I'm proud of it. I wasn't a turbo nerd, but I was like, I did my work, and I was nice to the teachers. Most people exaggerate their coolness in high school. I think I might actually be underestimating it, but, like, I basically was just, like, a good person, and that seemed to work out all right for me, despite the cynicism surrounding that, you know, area of a person's life. But it always bummed me out to see people, like, disrespecting teachers. Like, when you're 15, you might think your teachers are, like, in the greatest situation in the world. You're like, you don't understand. We're both in this classroom 7 hours a day, but you get paid so much money to be here, and I get paid nothing to be here. No, you don't understand. First off, I don't know where you're from. Teachers aren't making as much money as they deserve. Like, if school didn't exist, your parents would have had for many years to pay somebody to watch you. That's basically what a teacher is, but the teacher was like, you know what? What if I throw in teaching them an essential life skill every 2 months, like the ability to freaking read? I'll just throw that in for free because I'm nice, you know? It's a societal, it's importance. You go, yeah, NL, yeah. But at the same time, they get 2 months of every year off. 2 months of every year? Okay, I mean, that's not bad. But if you've crossed that threshold in your life, and you've, man, the frame rate is tanking. Robert, stop sending me Skype messages. If you're an adult, this one goes out to all the adults out there. And I'm not trying to insult you, by the way, if you're, you know, 14 right now. If you're, like, spending a day with one 14-year-old, that's fine. But you got, like, 30 14-year-olds that you're actually responsible for, and if they don't, you know, get into a good college, parents are going to be calling you. Like, would you rather work a 12-month year, probably with a higher salary, or would you rather work a 10-month year, but all your coworkers are replaced with teenagers that you're responsible for? That's a decision where most adults, unless they really love teaching or fell into it and can't get out somehow, not to be cynical, they're gonna take the year, is all I'm trying to say. So respect your teachers. Like, they could be doing something else, probably. But for some reason, their brain is broken, and they've decided they care about you and your success in the future. So they're sticking around in a job where, you know, you get a C because you're slacking off, and then the parent goes, oh, what are you doing? Why does my kid get a C in your class? I thought they were smart because I only talked to them for 45 minutes a day. I didn't realize they're actually a freaking idiot. Anyway, I'm not calling you an idiot, by the way. You guys are obviously extremely intelligent. Just in terms of the choice of entertainment that you're watching right here, I know that you're very polite, erudite individuals. And you're going to say, NL, you're alienating your target audience by yelling about teenagers being jerks. No, you don't understand. Again, the same holds true for adults. You want to grab coffee with one adult? Sure, well, let's have a conversation. Blah, blah, equity. Ooh, I hate taxes, you know? Easy. But then you want to hang out with like 20 adults? Nah, dude. That sort of thing isn't my bag, baby. It's the same with teenagers, but it's multiplied by hormones. I don't even want to hang out with myself as a teenager. As a teenager, I barely wanted to hang out with myself as a teenager, and then multiply it by 20 or 30. And you go, oh, why does little Billy have a C in your class? He's not going to get in Northwestern now. Well, little Billy, first off, he's not so little. I mean, he's in high school now. If he's applying for college, you should stop calling your son little Billy, probably. But then, plus, I think Nickelodeon might own the trademark for that. But little Billy didn't do his homework, and he got, 65s on all of his tests. That's why he has a C. Yeah, but, like, you're going to ruin his whole life for that? Oh, it's spun. Anyway. I'm just saying. There's some stories, dude. Oh, I mean, Guillotine was fine, but I like sad bombs. I love sad bombs. I don't like sad bombs. I love it. Speed up. Didn't give us actually speed up because I must already have full speed, but still. Goat head. Worthless, but that's okay. Look at this money, man. I mean, when I was teaching in Korea, I wasn't a real teacher. I would never try to sell you on the idea that I was like, oh, Professor Latoro has stepped into the classroom, quiet on set. It wasn't like that. You're almost a glorified babysitter, but instead of throwing in, a good life skill, you're like, here's how to speak English, but like, sort of well. I don't know. I just do what the textbook tells me. It's pretty much on that level, and you get paid appropriately for that role. Some of you watching this are probably English teachers in South Korea, and if you're good at your jobs, you should be paid more. But I was paid appropriately for what I brought to the table, I think. I mean, I was also 21, so you're not getting a seasoned veteran. There were people teaching English in Korea that had more teaching experience than I had years on planet Earth. So anyway, you get the idea. But there were situations where, like, we were a private school that was like, you don't have to send your kids here. The government's not going to yell at you if you don't send your kids here. Like, you're paying to send your kids here. It's voluntary. So I'd get called into, like, the principal's office, which is still as scary as an adult as it is as a kid, by the way. And the principal would be like, hey, I got an angry phone call because you gave this kid a C, which was the lowest grade we could give. And I'd be like, I mean, he doesn't ever speak in class. He doesn't do his work, and he's pretty rude. And then they'd be like, well, his mom called, and she is going nuclear. She's threatening to pull him from the school. So is there any justification that you could have for pulling his grade up to, like, a B? And, I mean, you got surprisingly great job security in that situation. It's not like I was standing up for myself and like, no, this is what it's gonna be like, I'm willing to die for this, but no. I was like, well, no, but I guess, like, if you want to, you could just bump it up to a C if you make that executive decision. And she did. But then the student still quit the school, which is, it's a tough problem, I guess. If you've got a private school, like, what are you supposed to do? You're like, well, I can't fail them. Well, I mean, you should, but in your head, you might be thinking, can't fail them, because if I fail them, their parents are going to be like, this school's not working out. We should send them somewhere else. It's a weird catch-22. I had another situation. You know what? The speed up has now been a speed up for us because the first speed down didn't give us a speed down. I had another situation where, like, I gave slightly more advanced students an essay, and the essay is very simple. It's not like, is neoliberalism dead? It wasn't like that. I would get an F on that essay. I got no idea what I'm talking about. This essay was like 250 words. How do you cook your favorite meal? They were not 15. They were like 11. By the way, if you are 15 and you're going, that's not an essay, you're missing the point, dude. These are ESL classes. Like, if I could get some of the classes just to the point where they could say, like, hi, how are you? I was like, I'm making a difference in the world. They weren't bad students, necessarily. They're just tired from being in school all day. Anyway, let's go peep. I mean, we need a key, but let's go back here and peep this. So anyway, I'm reading the essays, and, from a native speaker standpoint, they're a little off. But then you get one, and you're just like, this is perfect. This is like, I open the package of instant ramen. I pour 2 cups of water into a pot, place it on the oven, or place it on the stove, I should say, and they don't say that in that voice, but you get the idea, and then set it to boil. And I'm like, my God, this is magnificent. Who is this, John Steinbeck in our midst? And then it just got a little too suspicious. There were words in there like circumvent, and I'm like, no 11-year-old Korean ESL student is using the word circumvent in an essay about how to cook, right? So I just typed like the first 2 sentences into Google, and sure enough, I'm like, copied it. So I told well, I gave him a C first, because that's all you can do. And then again, same situation. Ooh, I want items. I'll tell you what, we got more time to tell stories this way. I gave him a C, and then the principal goes over the papers to make sure, you know, he didn't write, hey, kid, get bent, or something like that. And she goes, hey, you know, why'd you give Daniel a C? And I'm like, well, you know, he stole it from Google. And then she was like, I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, didn't do the paper at all. Just typed in, like, how to cook blank into Google. Might have even typed it in Korean and then just found an English website somehow. But either way, we're splitting hairs at this point. And she's like, but he did write it pretty nicely. Like, look at the handwriting. So you think this actually deserves, like, a B? I was like, nah, I think it does not. I think it deserves an F, if I'm being honest with you. But again, I was kind of like, you know, I'm only here for 6 more weeks, so do what you want. I don't care. Yeah. And then what really bummed me out is that I know that kid went through the rest of the classes, because I've been a kid. I was a kid like 5 years before I started teaching, basically. Only 5 years prior. I know that kid, who was actually a good kid, I think he just made a mistake. He was a pretty good student most of the time. Maybe he's a genius and I'm the jerk in this situation. Maybe he didn't. He's like, teacher, I know what circumvent means. Come on, I'm not an idiot. But I know that for the rest of our short time together in that classroom, bad phrasing, but I know for the rest of my tenure at that school, he probably thought he was smarter than me. Because he got one over on me. He's like, I didn't spend 45 minutes on my homework. A little delirium, huh? Ryan teacher's such an idiot. I just stole one from Google. He didn't even look it up. It's not that I didn't look it up. It's just that I made less in a month than your parents paid for like a month of you attending the classes. It's hard to engender that level of like educational rigor. You know, I wasn't gonna go Mr. Holland's Opus on this. I don't own the school. I was in and out like a fast food burger chain. So suffice it to say, you know, I think that you might think that would make me cynical about the education system. And it does. It makes me cynical about the education system in Korea. It actually makes me pretty uncynical about the education system in North America, because that kind of stuff didn't fly. At least, it didn't fly at my school. It's so tempting to be like, that didn't fly when I was in school. But I don't know, maybe it flew at other schools, and it's not a generational thing. But definitely, I have had classmates, or acquaintances at least, fail classes because of plagiarism. Totally has happened. They didn't go give them a B. But I don't know, maybe it happens. Maybe the analog is like karate class, where, you know, you got like a principal dojo master, and he's like, look, Daniel doesn't do the taekwondo poses correctly. He deserves an F. And then the business owner is like, yeah, but you know, he's 7 and he's been in school for 14 hours today. Can we just give him like an orange belt, charge his parents $40 for the ceremony, and then, you know, like move on? Like, we got a business to run here. You're not training the next Shaolin warrior or something. Maybe I'm the one who's overthinking it. I don't know. Anyway, this run, we haven't talked about it in a while, but it's going like real well. Nothing can stop us. We definitely want Maw of the Void. And we got Leviathan out of that as well, which is a damage up, apparently. Unless that was just the residual damage up from Maw of the Void. Yeah, this run is fun. It gave us a chance to talk about these interesting anecdotes from my life that I've probably touched on 14 times before. And the whole point of this is respect your teachers. Unless they're jerks. If they're jerks, you don't need to respect them like that much. You should respect them like in the class, but then after the class be like, hey, that guy, he was kind of a jerk. You have my permission. I have teachers who were kind of jerks that to this day, I'm like, that teacher was a jerk. And when I was like, you know, in the class, my parents were like, yeah, but you should really do your work. And then, you know, now that I'm out of the class, they're like, hey, remember your 6th grade teacher? That guy was a jerk. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. That's what I was saying back in the day. They can't tell you that then, because you're going to lose all motivation to work. And, you know, a year is a long time when you're that age. It's like, you know, 8% of your life or something. Plus, it's a good learning lesson, because you're going to have, you know, you're going to have to deal with jerks in positions of power in your life. It's just the way she goes, boys. Probably you take the relic, I suppose. That's not to say jerks always rise to the top, but statistically speaking, at some point in your corporate life, there will probably be a jerk who has some power over you. And it's up to you to outcompete them for a promotion and then eventually make their life miserable, or be the bigger man and, you know, bury the hatchet and be a good person or something. I've been watching too much Game of Thrones for that, though. There is no hatchet burying in King's Landing. Unless he's getting buried in the skull of your enemies. So honestly, with permanent Polaroid invincibility, I am completely unconcerned about the damage we're taking, because it is allowing us to output so much more damage over the process. Especially against, like, if an enemy's basically stationary, get ready, buddy. You're taking hits. Help. The heart is too fast. You know what would be, like, the worst mod for Afterbirth Plus? What if you made a mod where Delirium had a Wallmaster on it that grabbed you and took you out of the Delirium fight? Don't give them any ideas, NL. I'm just saying. Isn't that a bad idea? I told you. For now, though, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Respects your teachers, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.